Cześć. Dziś nie będziemy oglądali konkretnej walki związanej z bijatykami, ale spojrzymy sobie na, myślę, bardzo ciekawy film związany z grą Fighters History. Jest to tytuł, który został wydany przez firmę Data East. No i jak widzicie na ekranie, no, są sobie jakieś ludziki. To jest gość, który wygląda trochę jak Zangief, ona może trochę jak Chunka. Tutaj Ken, Ryu, a tutaj czai się może na przykład Fei Long. No jak spojrzycie na screena, wygląda to jak Street Fighter, prawda? Chociaż tak naprawdę w tamtym okresie dużo gier w ten sposób wyglądało. I obejrzymy sobie, to jest dobre, materiał o tym, jak firma Data East broniła się przed pozwem Capcomu o to, że dużo rzeczy ze Street Fightera 2 właśnie skopiowali. No i pokazują różnice między tymi grami, które są oczywiście oczywiste. Więc obejrzyjmy sobie, jak to wygląda.
Hello, I'm Mitsuko Adelman, Manager of Corporate Liaison at Data East USA Inc. in San Jose, California. This presentation provides a visual comparison of the characters and fighting moves from the two one-on-one fight games at issue in this dispute, Street Fighter II and Fighters History.
Ale ogarnijcie, no nie? Mamy gdzieś tam pewnie połowę lat 90., może początek i to, co tutaj jest, to jest, może widzieliście takie charakterystyczne paseczki na dole, takie glitche graficzne, no bo to jest nagrane na VHS-a, po prostu niesamowite. 30 lat już minęło od czasu, kiedy ten film był nagrany.
Street Fighter II is produced by Capcom Company Limited in Japan and distributed by the plaintiff Capcom USA Inc. Fighters History is produced by defendant Data East Corp in Japan and distributed by defendant Data East USA. The nature of this dispute is described more fully in the printed materials filed by Capcom and Data East. Put simply, Capcom claims that Data East copied the fighter characters and their moves from Street Fighter II and put them into the Data East game Fighters History.
No i teraz będzie porównanie tego, że znaczy nie oglądałem już tego filmu, ale podejrzewam, że zobaczcie, ta postać robi shurikeny na przykład tak, ale w naszej grze robi to tak. Ustawiając ręce poziomo, nie wiem, tak sobie to wyobrażam. No ale zaraz zobaczymy.
Capcom has filed a declaration of a support representative, David Winstead, making these allegations. This video is organized into two parts. Part 1, made up of 7 short segments, reviews Capcom's allegation that Data East copied 7 characters from Street Fighter II. We will compare them with the characters from Fighters History that Capcom claims are copies. Part 2, made up of 18 short segments, compares several fighting techniques, generally known as special moves, that Capcom claims were copied in Fighters History.
Ale mi się mega ten język podoba, taki profesjonalny, pani tutaj jest bardzo spokojna. No ale jakby nie patrzeć, jest to materiał przeznaczony dla sądu.
In this first segment, we will review Capcom's claim that Data East character Matlock Jade is a copy of Capcom's character Guile. A visual comparison of these characters show that they are not similar. This is Guile, as he appears in the Street Fighter II strategy.
Ja podejrzewam, że oni po prostu tworząc swoją grę Fighters History w dużej mierze wzorowali się na tym Street Fighterze. I potem jak dostali pozew, myśleli, kurde, to i trzeba zobaczyć, że na przykład postać ma jakoś tam inaczej gacie zrobione, nie?
Guide. The images from the strategy guide are the only images Capcom submitted with its papers. If you think that Guile looks familiar, you could be right.
Ale zobaczcie, od razu jeszcze nie pokazują w ogóle Fighters History, ale już pokazują, że Capcom na czymś się wzorowało.
This is the image of Guile from Street Fighter II Champion Edition in his ready stance. I will refer to the screen images from the two games as bitmap images. Guile is obviously associated with the United States military. He wears camouflage military pants, army boots, a green military undershirt, dog tags, and a tattoo of an American flag. Consistent with his military image, Guile has a flat-top haircut. In many one-on-one fighting games, each character has its own graphical background known as its home stage. Guile's is a military base. There are other military personnel, a military aircraft, and United States Air Force insignia on the pavement.
Dobra, czyli na razie podkreślają, że Guile
Matlock
to
Jade from Data
Ameryczka.
East Fighter's history is quite different from Guile in both conception and appearance. This is a pencil sketch of Matlock used by the graphic artist as a model for the bitmap images in the game.
To jest tak jak z tym memem. Dobra, spisz pracę domową, ale zmień coś, żeby się nie poznali.
And here's the bitmap image of Matlock from Fighter's history in his ready stance. Matlock is
inaczej.
an athletic punk rocker from England. He sports a blonde mohawk haircut, sunglasses, and
No tak, no bo przecież nie mogli zrobić takiej fryzury jako Guile'a, więc zrobili też inną, też jest blondynem, też ma zielone spodnie, no ale musiał się jakoś odróżnić.
headphones, a leather-studded harness, baggy pants, and boots. Matlock's hair design was based on this photograph of a spiked mohawk haircut. Each character in Fighter's history has a particular weak spot and will be stunned if the opponent hits this weak spot when it is flashing. This concept does not exist in Street Fighter II.
Ciekawe.
Matlock's weak spots are his sunglasses and headphones. Consistent with Matlock's
Przywal mi w
athletic
okulary,
and
to mnie
musical character,
zastunujesz.
his fighting movements, especially the kicks, resemble breakdancing. Matlock's home stage is a street in England featuring other punk rockers and a distinctly British bobby. Dance music plays in the background. The personality differences between Guile and Matlock are reinforced by their speech and behavior after winning a round.
Ow, come on!
This is Guile after a first round victory. Note that he silently combs his hair and folds his hands on his hips.
No.
Matlock is completely different.
Completely different. No jest różny. Dobra, kto
This
teraz?
second segment compares Data East's character Samche Tomyamkum and Capcom's character Sagat.
O, z Sagatem
Capcom asserts
porównają.
that Samche is a copy of Sagat. Both characters are Thai kickboxers, but otherwise they are very different. This is Sagat from Capcom's Street
Jaki
Fighter
art.
II strategy guide. He has a distinctive patch over one eye and a prominent scar across his chest. This is the bitmap image of
No i
Sagat
on
in front of his
mega
home
wysoki.
stage. Sagat is a bald giant who dwarfs other Street Fighter II characters. This is a pencil sketch of Data East's Samche, used as a model for the bitmap images in the game. This is the bitmap image of Samche in his ready stance.
Nie jest wysoki, no.
Samche is a
Matku, jak on stoi. On stoi tak, jakby się wszystkiego bał.
muscular but trim Thai kickboxer. His fighting movements and costume are based on the art of Muay Thai. Samche's appearance, costume, and movements were made as authentic as possible given the limitations of computer graphics, including his wrapped wrists, bicep armbands, and traditional headband. Samche's weak spots are his armbands. Samche's fighting moves and stances were all inspired by photographs of actual kickboxers, as illustrated in this Thai kickboxing book. Sagat wears neither the traditional headband nor armbands. Samche shouts out the name of his special attacks in Thai, unlike Sagat. Although Mr. Winstead states that Samche is bald like Sagat, he is obviously not. Mr. Winstead also states that Sagat wears earrings. According to the picture in Capcom's strategy guide, he does not. Sagat's home stage is completely different from Samche's. In this third segment, we review Capcom's assertion that Data East's character Makoto Mizoguchi is a copy of Capcom's character Ryu. Other than being male Japanese fighters using karate techniques, the two characters are not similar. This is the picture of Capcom's Ryu from the Street Fighter II strategy guide.
Ale brzydki.
Ryu wears a traditional Shotokan karate outfit, complete with a black belt and extended wrist protectors. This is the bitmap image of Ryu on his home stage, which is a dojo rooftop. This is a pencil sketch of Mizoguchi. This is the bitmap image of Mizoguchi in his ready stance. Mizoguchi departs from the traditional karate dress with baggy black
To jest
pants
stennik
and
HK
shortened wrist protectors. Mizoguchi's weak spot is
i
his
tam było
headband.
close coś. Znaczy nie wiem w
Mizoguchi
sumie,
is a
czy w dwójce
master
były
of
te
kenka
ciosy u Ryu.
karate, or no-hold-barred karate. It begins with standard karate and adds illegal fighting moves such as attacks below
Ta
the belt,
animacja, jak ona ma
headbutting,
działać? Nie
and
wiem.
grabbing an opponent's
Ona
collar to
jest
throw him to the ground.
Za mało keyframe'ów
Mizoguchi's
miała.
Japanese identification is further emphasized by his home stage, the suspension bridge between two steep mountains in the Kansai region of Japan. It looks very different from Ryu's home stage.
Ale po co oni o planszach mówią? Chyba że Capcom powiedział, że plansze też wyglądają podobnie, ale to byłoby dziwne. Dobra, ma być 7 postaci, czyli jeszcze 4.
This fourth segment reviews Capcom's assertion that Data East's character Jean-Pierre is similar to Capcom's character Vega. Other than being fair-skinned European fighters, these characters are not similar.
Ale jaka...
This is the picture
Ojejku,
of
ale
Vega
zobaczcie na jej minę.
fighters. These characters are not similar.
Z tej twarzy można byłoby zrobić niezłą ikonkę. Tak naprawdę, może na Twitcha czy na Discorda.
This is the picture of Vega from the Street Fighter II strategy guide. This is the bitmap image of Vega in his ready stance. Vega fights bare-chested and wears a long, fierce-looking claw on his attacking hand. He covers his face with a protective white hockey mask. In addition to these highly distinctive features, Vega wears high-waisted pants that end just below the knee and brown loafers. His brown hair is worn in a long, braided ponytail. This is the pencil sketch of Jean-Pierre. And this is the bitmap image of John in his ready stance. Jean-Pierre is a strong, muscular, yet agile French gymnast. He has short blonde hair in a modern haircut, traditional gymnast outfit, and suspenders. His costume includes boots and protective knee pads to create a tougher appearance. John's weak spot is his leg band, which is in the colors of the French flag.
Po co oni mówią o tych weak bandach,
John's and Vega's home
weak
stages are
spotach,
completely different.
skoro weak spotów nie
John
ma w Street
fights in a
Fighterze?
ballroom at the Grand Palace of Versailles. The French aristocracy in full ballroom clothing cheers him on. Vega fights in a Spanish fight pit in a darkened
Nie no,
nightclub.
mówię, to jest tak, że
The
oni sobie
onlookers are
stwierdzili,
protected by
okej, w Street Fighterze była taka postać, no to zróbmy postać, która też jest europejska, też jakoś tam ma związek z tańcem, no i tyle.
a tall chain link fence. This fifth segment reviews Capcom's assertion that Data East's Ray McDougal is similar to Street Fighter II's character Ken. Other than being blonde American men, these characters are not similar.
These characters are not
This is
similar.
Ken from Capcom Street Fighter II strategy
To taka
guide.
małpa.
And this is the bitmap image of Ken in his ready stance. Ken has brown eyes and long but neatly layered blonde hair.
Naprawdę tutaj patrzą na
Ken
kolor
wears a red
oczu?
karate costume, black belt, and no shoes. This is a bitmap image of Ray generated by Fighter's history.
No, typ w
Ray is an
jeansach
American
i
detective
budkach.
trained in a variety of martial arts. He has blue eyes and short, messy blonde hair. He wears a tight muscle shirt with a prominent lightning bolt on the front. To portray his American identity, Ray wears blue jeans and athletic shoes and speaks English while fighting. Ray's weak spot is the lightning bolt on his shirt. Ken and Ray have different hairstyles, different colored eyes, and different costumes. Players attracted to Ken's purist karate personality are unlikely to be attracted to Ray, who is almost mocking the purists. Ray's home stage is the U.S. Capitol building. The accompanying music is rock and roll. Ken's home stage is quite different.
Znowu, po co te plansze? Dobra, szósta postać, tak.
This sixth segment reviews Capcom's allegation that Data East character Mastorius is similar to Capcom's character Zangief. Other than being heavy-set wrestlers, the two characters are not similar. This is a picture of Zangief from Capcom's Street Fighter II strategy guide.
Zangief.
And this is a bitmap image of Zangief in his ready stance. Consistent with Zangief's origin in the old Soviet Union, he wears his hair in a short, narrow strip down the middle of his shaved head and has a close-cropped beard. Zangief wears only red and gold boots, briefs, and wristbands. There appears to be some barely noticeable hair on Zangief's legs above the bootlaces. It is impossible to tell whether this hair is fur protruding from the top of the boot or Zangief's own leg hair. This is the bitmap image of Mastorius from Data East.
Dobra, bo tutaj ten typ ma włosy, które są z butów, a Zangief ma włosy, które są prawdopodobnie na jego skórze.
Game fighter's history. Mastorius has a more liberated appearance, with long shaggy hair and a very full beard. Mastorius wears fur leg warmers inspired by this well-known pro wrestler, Bruiser Brody. Mastorius wears the costume of the ancient Roman gladiators who he believes may have originated his modern wrestling style. He wears a leather protector covering much of his upper body and skirt-like shorts.
Poczekam aż te ciosy będą pokazywać.
Zangief's home stage reinforces these character differences. Zangief fights in this Soviet industrial factory. Note the familiar hammer and sickle on the floor. The confined workers cheer him on. Mastorius's home stage is outdoors, in front of the historic Fountain of Trevi in Italy. The fountain features a large statue in the traditional Roman style.
Dobra, ostatnia postać.
This seventh and last character comparison segment reveals Capcom's allegation that Data East's character Fei Ling is similar to Capcom's character Chun-Li. Other than being Chinese women, the characters are not similar. This is Chun-Li as she appears in the Street Fighter II strategy guide. And this is the bitmap image of Chun-Li in her ready stance. Chun-Li wears a blue china dress, revealing her legs up to her waist, calf-high white boots, and spiked wristbands. She ties her hair up with an elaborate ribbon with two prominent poofs, one at each side of her head.
Poofs, tak to się nazywa, okej.
These are pencil sketches of fighter's history character Fei Ling. Fei Ling is a top actor.
W ogóle jest w tym, w Night Slashers. Nie wiem, czy była w oryginale, czy tylko w remake'u.
In Kyogeki, a traveling Chinese opera. Her opera costume has protective armor from her shoulder to her breast. The rest of the opera costume covers her legs to below the knee. Fei Ling wears brown kung fu shoes and wears her hair in a long ponytail tied in two places. Fei Ling's costume was inspired by this photograph of an authentic Chinese opera costume. This is the bitmap image of Fei Ling in her ready stance. Fei Ling is an expert in Toroken or praying mantis can. It involves stances and fighting movements very different from those of other Chinese fighters, such as Chun-Li in Street Fighter II. Fei Ling's home stage in China depicts other members of her theatrical company and is accompanied by music in the style of Chinese opera. Chun-Li's home stage, which depicts a busy marketplace, is quite different. Fei Ling is a serious, strong woman fighter who commands respect. Chun-Li, on the other hand, grins and giggles, portraying a stereotype of a young girl who need not be taken seriously. This concludes the character comparisons in the two games. Part 2 of this video will compare the characters' special fighting moves that Capcom asserts were copied by Data East.
No, niestety okazuje się, że w tym filmie jednak ciosów nie ma, no ale możemy sobie na szybko przejrzeć. Tutaj oni mówią, że on nie walczy jak Guile, no ale tutaj widzieliśmy jak rzuca Sonic Booma. No, to jest Sonic Boom, tak? Mieliśmy też inne postacie, które walczą podobnie. Mieliśmy tego Zasagata, no, który rzuca coś w stylu jego projectile'a.
This
Robi
is the
też
bitmap
Tiger
image of
Knee.
Sunche in his ready stance. Sunche is a muscular but trim Thai kickboxer.
O, no to jest jak
Fighting
ciosek jego tutaj tak samo.
and
Więc szkoda, że nie ma dostępu do tej drugiej części. Natomiast no fajnie się to oglądało i tak moim zdaniem bardzo inteligentnie Data East podeszło do tego, bo i się przygotowali dobrze, dobrze to zaprezentowali. No i też dodali, myślę, te plansze po to, żeby podkreślić różnicę między postaciami w Street Fighterze a w Fighters History. Jeśli kiedyś będzie druga część tego filmu, gdzieś się odnajdzie, no to na pewno też Wam zaprezentuję. To wszystko na dziś. Klasycznie dajcie znać w komentarzu, jeśli chcecie, żebym jakiś film tutaj w ramach tej poniedziałkowej serii obejrzał i widzimy się prawdopodobnie znowu w poniedziałek o godzinie 18. Do następnego, cześć!